Video of this presentation will be available online after this meeting. Everything is being recorded, including your screen name for those of you joining us virtually. If you do not wish to stay connected, you can log off now and view the presentation later. We request that comments be submitted in writing on the NOP by email, which must be received by midnight on November 12th, 2024, to sequa@stocktonport.com, or by mail, postmarked by November 12th, 2024, to Jason Cashman, Director of Environmental Affairs, Port of Stockton, P.O. Box 2089, Stockton, California, 95201. And if you need to ask any clarifying questions tonight, you'll be able to raise your hand after this short presentation ends. And with that, since we've already done some introductions, I will go over what this presentation tonight will cover. So our presentation includes an overview of the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and the associated CEQA scoping process. Then we will present an overview of the proposed project, including its objectives, location, size, design features, and timeline to help you understand the project specifics. Finally, we will explain the process for providing questions, comments, and feedback on the notice of preparation. Next slide, please. So first, we're going to start with an overview of CEQA, or in the CEQA process. CEQA requires public agencies to consider the environmental consequences of their discretionary actions before making decisions. In the context of CEQA, the lead agency is the primary public agency responsible for carrying out or approving a project and ensuring compliance with CEQA requirements. For our project, the port serves as the lead CEQA agency. An applicant is an individual, private entity, or public agency seeking approval or permits to carry out a project. In this case, Nevada Cement is the applicant. The CEQA process has two main intentions, which are to communicate potential environmental effects of proposed activities to government decision makers and the public, and to identify environmental impacts and determine ways to avoid or significantly reduce them through project changes, adoption of alternatives, or mitigation measures. Public participation is an essential component of the CEQA process. Now let's take a moment to discuss the scoping period. We're currently in the scoping period, which is the first step in the CEQA process for the proposed project. The port has announced its intent to prepare an environmental impact report for the project. The port has prepared a notice of preparation, included with is an initial study for the project. This describes the project objectives and provides a high-level project description. It also outlines potential environmental impacts and areas of study to be evaluated in the draft EIR. The port is asking for public input on the scope and content of the EIR, including regarding environmental issues to be studied and alternatives to be considered. The scoping period is essential for gathering community insights and ensuring that relevant environmental issues are considered as we move forward with the environmental review process. The Nevada Cement Company operates an existing terminal that receives and distributes cementitious materials on the port's east complex. The majority of the terminal was originally built to handle fertilizer, and it was converted to handle cement in approximately 1990. The terminal was operated by other companies for several decades prior to Nevada Cement taking over operations in 2023. Cementitious materials include Portland cement and ground granulated blast furnace slag cement. At the Nevada Cement terminal, cementitious materials are received via ship at berth 2, unloaded and stored at the facility, and shipped to the local and regional building industry by truck and rail, supporting construction projects throughout Northern California. This is a vicinity map showing the project site at the port. You can see it's on the east complex. It is located in the yellow boundary. And this is a close-up view of the existing facility location, bordered by the yellow border, or bordered with a yellow line. The site is generally bound by the San Joaquin River, Harbor Street, and Port Road A, Port Road 1, and Port Road 2. The surrounding area is characterized by industrial uses, including the presence of storage tanks, maritime terminals, cementitious materials storage structures, grain silos, railroad facilities, large storage buildings, and stockpiles of various commodities. Vessels currently unload cementitious material at berth 2. As I previously described, equipment at the terminal was originally designed to handle fertilizer and is outdated and in worn condition, requiring more energy to operate than new technology equipment. The existing unloader is designed to handle an older class of vessels. Newer, more efficient bulk material vessels, which are currently calling at the terminal, are longer and wider, and the existing ship unloader's horizontal arm is too short to reach effectively across the wider ship's hold. Material within the ship's hold must be pushed to meet the reach of the arm, which results in a longer unloading time and potentially greater fugitive dust generation. In addition, the existing berth 2 ship unloader requires high levels of electricity to operate, which can apply pressure to the local grid during unloading hours. Additionally, there is an anticipated increase in supply and market demand for cementitious materials in the region. Cementitious products such as domestically manufactured cement and alternatives such as fly ash continue to face downward pressure on overall supply, and the proposed project would allow the terminal to serve the market for decades to come. Nevada Cement proposes to install a new, more energy efficient unloader sized appropriately to the newer class of larger bulk material vessels and to redevelop portions of the terminal to modernize and expand operations. The combined length of berth 3-4 is a more suitable location for larger vessels. Therefore, the new unloader will be installed on berth 3-4 versus berth 2. Nevada Cement would also update various existing terminal elements to support the redesigned operations. To facilitate this design, the Golden Arrow, a ship currently docked at berth 3-4, will be relocated to free up that space. To fulfill the project purpose, the following key project objectives need to be achieved. To improve and modernize the Stockton terminal to allow Nevada Cement to accept complementary imported products, increase throughput, and satisfy regional demand for cementitious material in the Northern California markets. To upgrade the Stockton terminal to more efficiently utilize terminal power, update environmental controls, and improve the safe and efficient handling of cementitious material. To upgrade and increase the overall utilization of the existing berth 3-4 dock to support the new ship unloading equipment, comply with current design standards, and increase the life of the berth structure. And to increase the reliable supply of cement and cementitious materials to meet the growing demand of the region through faster unloading and increased storage capacity. The major construction elements of the proposed project include rehabilitating berth 3-4, installing a new ship unloader, rail improvements, which involve building a new loading track and constructing storage tracks, truck and rail loading station modifications, dome construction, specifically replacing bunker 7 with a new storage dome and future replacement of bunker 6, minor piping alterations to support alternative delivery methods, and future barge loading equipment installation. These elements are integral to upgrading the terminal, enhancing efficiency, and preparing for future demand. Construction is anticipated to occur over a period of 24 months, with work occurring concurrently at both the dock and landside operations. In-water work would occur within the annual window of construction. Operations would continue at the terminal during construction. In terms of project operations, following construction, operations at the terminal will continue similar to existing operations, using the new equipment and facilities based out of berth 3-4 to more efficiently support higher annual throughput levels than existing conditions. Import volumes, as well as export truck and rail volumes, are not expected to exceed existing permitted limits under the proposed project. However, the new barge loading operation is not covered by the existing permit to operate, and Nevada Cement would work with the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District to modify the existing permit or acquire a new permit to support barge operations. Cementitious materials would arrive at the terminal via bulk cargo vessel. Once a bulk cargo vessel is secured at berth 3-4, the new mechanical ship unloader would unload the vessel, and a new elevated enclosed gathering conveyor would transfer cementitious materials to the enclosed transfer conveyors and material handling systems for distribution to the new storage dome or transfer to 2 of the existing storage bunkers 5 and 6. Stored cementitious materials would be delivered via an air gravity conveyor system to the existing truck loading stations. Rail cars would be loaded at the new enclosed rail car loading station from the new rail loading surge tanks and rail car loading equipment. The existing ship unloader at berth 2 would remain in place and have the capability to deliver cementitious materials to any of the 7 storage structures. Though the primary unloader will be at berth 3-4, the existing ship unloader at berth 2 would remain in service for operation during maintenance on the primary unloader or handling equipment, or to expedite ship receiving operations if berth 3-4 is not available. The proposed project is expected to increase rail, ship, and truck throughput at the terminal compared to existing conditions. Barge service is also anticipated to be added. An EIR must describe a reasonable range of alternatives to a project that could feasibly attain most of the basic project objectives and would avoid or substantially lessen any of the project's significant effects. The port is currently considering 3 alternatives for detailed analysis in the draft EIR. The first is the no project alternative, which is required by CEQA and represents what would be reasonably expected to occur in the foreseeable future if the proposed project were not approved. Under this alternative, the port would not issue a new lease to Nevada Cement and no new developments would be constructed at berth 3-4 or to landside storage and truck or rail car loading systems by Nevada Cement. The second alternative, the reduced rail loading and storage alternative, would consist of lease modification and similar construction and operational components as the proposed project, but with reduced on-site area available for loaded and stored rail cars, and elimination of the associated construction and operational elements associated with the reduction in rail activities. This alternative would potentially reduce the lease area by approximately 2 acres near berth 3-4 by limiting track construction. As a result, Nevada Cement would contract for off-site rail storage, switch a portion of rail movements to truck operations, or reduce the rail movements with no off-site switching or truck replacement. And the third alternative, berth 2 improvements alternative, would consist of dock improvements and equipment replacement and installation at berth 2 with no upgrades at berth 3-4. The in-water and landside construction and operational activities would be similar to those of the proposed project, but located at berth 2. This alternative would restrict Nevada Cement unloading operations to berth 2. The ships calling on the terminal would have to be lightly loaded, shuttled up and down the berth, and then rotated so that the existing ship unloader could reach both sides of the holds and fully discharge the vessel to avoid extensive pushing of material within the holds of the vessel. To identify probable environmental effects, the port completed an initial study for the proposed project based on the CEQA Appendix G environmental checklist. The initial study provides a preliminary analysis to determine the relative environmental impacts associated with the proposed project. As identified in the initial study, any environmental resource area that has the potential to result in a significant environmental impact will be fully analyzed in the draft EIR, including analysis of any feasible mitigation measures and their ability to reduce or eliminate potential impacts. For resources that have been determined to have no environmental impacts, the port's rationale is provided in the initial study. Unless new information is provided during scoping or based on project changes, these resources will not be analyzed in the draft EIR. Environmental resource areas with the potential to have significant environmental impacts requiring evaluation in the draft EIR include aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, energy, geology and soils, greenhouse gas emissions, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology and water quality, land use and planning, noise, transportation, tribal cultural resources. Environmental resource areas found to have no environmental impacts and not proposed for evaluation in the draft EIR include agriculture and forestry resources, mineral resources, population and housing, public services, recreation, utilities and service systems, and wildfire. The notice of preparation was published on October 11th, and the port is accepting comments until November 12th. After the comment period closes, the port will prepare the draft EIR, and there will be a second opportunity for the public to comment on the project when that's released. The notice, I should say, right now, the schedule is showing late spring 2025 for the release of the draft EIR. The notice of preparation is available for your review on the port's website and on the State Clearinghouse website at the links shown on this slide, along with the screenshots of the web pages for each of those locations. If you're not able to access the document online, you can also arrange to review a copy from the port by contacting Jason Cashman through the email or phone number shown on the screen or in the notice of preparation on the website. We appreciate your help making sure we have a thorough environmental review process. In a moment, we will open up the floor for your comments. As a reminder, we are recording the scoping meeting and will transcribe oral comments received today to ensure that your feedback is accurately captured for consideration in the draft EIR. We ask that you submit written feedback by email or mail as well if you are open to it, and the information on this slide is also being put into the chat so you can copy it from there. Additionally, the recorded presentation will be posted to the port's website. So in terms of providing comments, the next slide should show how to provide your comments during the meeting. For those of you online, if you could raise your hand if you have a comment, we will make sure everybody who raises their hand is able to make their comment. And for those of you in person, if you'd like to make a comment, we're going to ask that you come up and use the microphone here at this furthest most chair. And depending on whether we have folks online who have comments, we will probably take comments in person first. Speakers will be given a chance to speak for 5 minutes maximum. And if you're online, your speaker will be unmuted by Kara prior to your 5 minutes commencing.
So I think we'd like to invite members of the public who are here in person to comment. So if you like, you're welcome to queue up in order. Otherwise, we'll just invite you one at a time to come up and provide your comment.
Good afternoon, port staff and members of the community. My name is Tim Robertson. I'm Executive Director of the San Joaquin Building Trades Council, representing over 10,000 San Joaquin County union construction workers and their families. We are proud to say that we have signed a letter of intent with Nevada Cement to form a project labor agreement on this project. So we are really excited about the prospect of adding opportunities for our local workforce to both do this work itself and also enhance our job training and apprenticeship capabilities of our entities. For purposes of the scoping, I would like to note the environmental impacts of that in and of itself, that local workforce will be prioritized on this job. Meaning many of our members would otherwise be commuting far out of the area, or other workers would be commuting into the area without such an agreement. So, a direct impact that we would encourage be part of the scope of the EIR. But from a broad sense, I would also like to share that several of our affiliates are in the room today, including the operating engineers, the electrical workers, the plumbers and pipe fitters, the sheet metal workers, who are all standing here in support of this project, both for the modernization of the terminal itself and the model that they've chosen for construction that will prioritize skilled, trained, safe local workforce. And we encourage you to take all of that into consideration. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Whoever would like to speak next, you're welcome to come up. Okay, it looks like there are no more in-person speakers, but if you change your mind, please raise your hand and we'll make sure that your comment is counted. So we do have several guests attending virtually. So if you would like to raise your hand, we'll call on you one at a time and ask you to unmute yourself. Margot, you can unmute yourself and provide your comment.
Hi, yeah, my name is Margot Prouse. I'm chair of the local Sierra group here in town. And I also sit on the AB 617 committee, which is made up of residents surrounding the port. You know, it's an entire area boundaried in Stockton, focusing mainly on Southwest Stockton. Air quality is our big concern. And I'm eager to, I haven't looked through the paperwork that's been provided so far, but I just want, you did say that ship, rail, and trucks would be increased. And so we hope, we expect that as much effort as possible to provide clean transportation is important. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Well, give it a minute or two more, and if there's nothing else, I think that we will wrap it up a little early. No more comments from anyone? Okay. All right. Final call for any last thoughts? So I'll say on my behalf, and then I hand it to you, Jason. Thank you for joining tonight and listening to this presentation. And we look forward to receiving any written comments by, again, that November 12th date, and coordinating with folks in the future. So I'll hand it back to you, Jason.
Yeah, I just want to again say thank you to everybody who showed up, and please remember, comments are very important to the port. We want to make sure that we capture all the comments from the public to make sure we, consider everything that you guys have to say about the project. So please submit them when you get a chance. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight. All right, we'll hang it up. Thank you, everyone.